All right. Thank you for joining us. Oh, I kind of skipped ahead. On this lovely Thursday, we have a great webinar in store for you, so we will get right into it. So we'll start off by just talking a little bit about the panelists, that being myself, as well as another gentleman who's joining me today. I will talk a little bit about XenTegra, who's hosting this webinar with ControlUp, and then Jeff Johnson, our other panelists, will be going through some great content around enhancing Azure Virtual Desktops and Windows 365 with ControlUp, with a little bit of time for questions. So for the panelists, I'm Andy Sulak, Microsoft Practice Director for XenTegra, a solution provider in VAR that covers worldwide. I'll go into a little bit about XenTegra, but then we also have Jeff Johnson, Product Marketing Manager at ControlUp, joining us, who is a leader in DEX solutions, digital employee experience solutions. Not only my opinion, not only ControlUp's opinion, but Gartner's opinion, since they've been named to the Magic Quadrant, which is a great honor and well-deserved. So, who is XenTegra? I'll go a little bit. I'll just take a couple minutes to go through this. XenTegra was started about in 2012 by Andy Whiteside, our founder, who really wanted to create a a partner model that actually brought value and wasn't just transactional. So focusing on customer enablement and real partnership. As part of that, XenTegra has expanded across the world, so mostly based in the United States, but we also have some offices in Canada and over in India, so we can cover round the clock, follow the sun for all of your needs. Focusing on engaging, listening, and delivering appropriate technologies to clients of all sizes, whether it's enterprise, SMB. We're here for you and want to make sure that we bring value first, and you want to do work with us, not just transact with us. And that falls into our what we call VAR 2.0 model, which is to be not just the traditional VAR waiting to see what you want to buy, but actually focus on your success, do what's right for you, provide the offerings that help you and your business and your organization succeed, so we can do that together. As part of that, we focus on building community, a lot of national events. We do a lot of marketing. We do webinars like this. We do in-person events. We want to make sure to get you educated. Part of that is providing 90% off industry conference passes as they come up. We also offer complimentary micro assessments across a number of different technologies, including end user computing, so that you can we can help you learn more about your environment, share best practices with you. And we do this all as a one-stop shop across professional services, managed services, hosting, consulting, and support near and offshoring. So one of my fellow colleagues, practice director Phil Sellers, like to say we're a bit like Ace Hardware, a little more specific about what we offer and a little more knowledgeable than just a big box store. Our practices span a range of incredibly experienced individuals that handle different areas of our business, from SMB, modern workspace, modern data center, security and networking, modern applications, and managed services. So we do a range within those, we cover a lot across deployments, consulting, again, managed services. As things get more complicated, more stuff is always popping up in the IT space. We want to be there to help you with it. You can focus on your business. We focus on helping you run the IT systems within your business. And to that point, Brian Clark, head of our MSP and CSP team, likes to say, would you rather have a brand new pilot fly your plane, or as new things come out, want somebody that's done it 1,000 times and know what's being done out in the industry? Simple blueprint, workspace in mind, designed with a combination of great experience, great consultants, managed services to result in better performance, less lag, latency, fewer clicks, more security, more flexibility, higher productivity. There's the business side, but then also we have a nonprofit arm, which is XenTegra Cares, making sure that we engage and give back to the community. That's not only doing volunteer events, but also focusing on organizations that are nonprofit, offering them the same same services, same technology as for-profit sector with discounts that make it attractive and consumable by the nonprofit community. A little bit of a NASCAR slide, a lot of partners that we work with, but focusing on the best of breed that work well together to put together whatever solutions you need, adding up to a number of awards and recognitions that we've racked up over the years and continue to expand upon. That is the XenTegra difference. So I'm going to hand it over to Jeff Johnson. So Jeff, as soon as you get your slides up, let me know, and then you can take it from here.
That's great. Thank you, Andy. All right. We have a few slides, demo, few slides, demo, few slides, demo, but we always like to make this interactive. So if you have any questions, just pop that in the chat, and Andy or the team will throw those at me. Andy, I expect you to fill in some color commentary whenever you can.
Are you sure? Okay, just remember you asked for it.
You bet. I spent 15 years at Microsoft, so I'm a little biased on the Microsoft offering line. Yeah, I know Linux a little bit, and I know Mac a little bit, but I really my heart is still over the Microsoft side. So this is I love ControlUp, but our integration with Microsoft is I'm really passionate about it. And you guys can see my screen, right, Andy?
Yep, all good.
All right, here's what we're going to talk about. I want to give you a ControlUp for Desktops overview, because ControlUp for Desktops really kind of fits into the Microsoft Intune integration, but so does Windows 365. It also fits into the Windows 11 migration, but so does 365 and AVD, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll get into this kind of specifics around Intune and migrations and 365 and AVD. Sound great? Yes, it does.
Yes, it does.
So here's our overall offering, right? So we have control for desktops, we have control for compliance, for VDI, control for apps. We really like to think about this in this outer circle, this collect. We collect data every 3 seconds on these devices. We have this connect. We connect the dots. We take all this data that we're collecting, and we help people troubleshoot and remediate based off all this data. And that goes into the correcting that solution. So we can even correct it autonomously. So if I have a flag set up saying, if you see this programmatically, and this is the fix programmatically, it fixed itself. Oh, yes. And we can also update ServiceNow to say, open a ticket because I found this, and close the ticket because I fixed this. And that almost pays for itself right there, right? All this autonomous, like, well, how do you justify it? Well, how many tickets did we avoid? So control for desktops. Problem solves faster, prevent problems from happening, and reduce support complexity. First of all, we have broad device support, whether it's a cloud PC. So cloud PC, that's a single instance. So like a Amazon Workspaces or a Windows 365, that's a single instance that I'm using. When I get to Azure Virtual Desktops, that's our VDI platform, and I'll show you the example of those a little bit. But rich client and thin clients is all supported under Control for Desktops. I had a slide on all of these, but I thought it'd be more fun to do a little more demos. So what does it do? We get device health information from this Control for Desktops. Now that also could be Windows 365, remember, and thin client and rich client, Mac and Linux and all that. We can get network insights. What's the bandwidth? What's the latency? Really huge if I'm a remote worker, having that latency information. We have that information. Our networking people have that information when we're in our building. They know, if there's problems with the network. They know if people are having network problems. But when you're at home or in your Starbucks or you're somewhere else, we lost that visibility, or IT lost that bit of visibility, but we get it back with ControlUp for desktops. Local application health. Is the application crashing? SaaS and web app performance health monitoring. SaaS app performance monitoring. Not is it just available, which we do, but how is it working? And unified comms health. What's the status of that? Is it a good call? Is it a bad call? There's something called a MOS score. They take the latency, they take the call quality, they put it into a MOS score. We see all that, and we can do some troubleshooting remediation through that. Synthetic monitoring. I can log into websites and make sure that they are working and available from different locations. Notification and alerting. I can take all of those, the device health, network insights, local application health, and turn those into notifications and alerting to alert people, my IT or the end user, on something that's happening. I can roll a lot of that information up into an employee experience score, and I can do things like remote assistance. You know, it's funny, and Andy, is like remote control, right? Remote control is really important for a IT, a help desk. The way I look at remote control is that should be your last resort, unless I'm telling them, showing them how to configure something, how to install a network, or I mean a printer, how to, click a button. But that should be last resort when I'm doing troubleshooting remediation, is that connectivity,
Yeah,
right?
there's nothing like jumping on and asking a staff member, so what's the problem? And they're like, well, you're supposed to tell me.
I already have the problem, and hopefully I already have it fixed before they made a call. And then user sentiment is really important too. It's like post call, or even, quarterly or yearly, I can say, hey, how's your EUC environment running? So let's get into a demo with that. Let me get to the right one. Here's my ControlUp for desktops interface. And I see that, I have a few demo machines kind of scattered throughout the world. And I can say, well, how's my CPU load on those things? How's my Wi-Fi signal on the, oh, I have a bad Wi-Fi signal over here. It's unusable. It's so bad. But it's kind of cool because I get this perspective, a kind of a geographical perspective, because maybe there's a whole area where it's bad. So then I kind of know that I can send an alert to those people in that area that something's bad, that something's going on there, like network latency for all those people. Maybe there's an outage on the East Coast or something like that. I can drill down into my machines and see the overall scores. And if I take a look at my PNW machines, let's see, JJ, these are a bunch of my machines here, and right now I can see a lot of interesting, data off of those machines. I can kind of start drilling down into those machines and taking a look at the CPU. This is kind of cool. I get these great charts, but when I compare it with averages, if I'm not a seasoned support person, I don't know if a queue length, how's this machine compared to all the other averages of a machine? Oh, it looks like it's high, or it looks like it's low. So I have all these great, charts and things, but then I can also do actions. I can run system context scripts or user context scripts. So I can run a script to get more information, or I could use a script to fix something. I can send a survey to them right now. I can do remote assistance. I can power up and power down that machine, which is pretty rad, right? I mean, pretty cool. One thing I also alluded to a little earlier was unified comms. So I had a live call going here. Oh, there's a live call going right there. And I can see the score. Here's my MOS score, my jitter, my RTT, packet loss, CPU. I get a lot of great information from that machine. Um, and I can even go down to Zoom and take a look at, here's all the Zoom calls that are happening in my environment. And, how many success, how many failures. I can go details on all the Zoom calls. I can start drilling down to those machines, seeing how what's going on with the connectivity, and then even jump onto that machine's performance. So that's just all part of, then I have like, SaaS monitoring and all that other good stuff. So this is the basis. When I think about, supporting Microsoft and virtual desktops, 365, Windows 11, rollout migrations, this is kind of one of the places I start looking at this performance analyzing this, troubleshooting it, remediating it. This is kind of where I start. Any questions with that, Andy?
No, I think I'm good. Although
Oh,
historically though, like if because a lot of times it's like you hear about a problem in the past.
right. Oh, yeah. So if the problem's in the past, so I have my filter here. Here's just today, but if I wanted to go to yesterday and take a look at the performance yesterday, or I wanted to take a look at the device events yesterday, I wanted to take a look at stop process yesterday, right?
That's what I always wanted when I was doing EUC years ago.
Exactly, exactly. It's really really powerful.
Hmm.
Capturing this much data, which is really crazy because we collect data like every 3 seconds, but it's actually pretty easy on the wire. So I'm not
Hmm.
taking a performance hit gathering this information. It's my top apps, right? My installed applications, patches, incidents. If I go back to my overview page, here's all my. We have integration with ServiceNow, as many people use ServiceNow out
Hmm.
there, and that may open tickets, that may resolve tickets, and what's the percentage of those, and I can auto do those like alerts. Let's see. Let's go into watch this. This is really cool.
Hmm.
If I'm down here on a machine and I'm like, if we had a CPU of 50%, but if I want to be alerted to that, I can just click that little button right there and create an alert that says, hey, if I get CPU load greater than 50%, then I can do something about that's my alert, right?
Hmm.
But then I can come down here and say, well, what do I want to do with that alert? Do I
Hmm.
want to have a webhook that maybe goes into um, Slack or Teams, right? And notify me on that. Or do I want to email someone? Do I want to run a script? Let me change this from all platforms to Windows platforms. Do I want to run a script, right? In user context and or system context, right? Do I want to run a survey? Do I want an email address? Do I want to create a ticket, right? So then I can, do I want to auto resolve that ticket? So I have a lot of really great options here. At a click of the, I didn't even really have to know how to what conditions it filled all that out for me
Hmm.
by a click of that little alert button. So like I have all these alerts out here, just tons of alerts and tons of scripts and just really simple, really, really powerful. So, Andy, any other questions? And this is like the basis of where we're going to build from for the rest of the event here.
No, no other questions. I just love that it's not just email alerts. You can customize that.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
man, that just gets lost in the inbox if it's just email. So I love that flexibility. But
Yeah.
anyways, yep, go for it.
True. All right. And if everyone listening has some stuff, chime in. All right,
Hmm.
Microsoft Intune. If you have Windows 360 or if you have a Windows 365, Intune is like the default platform to kind of manage that and deploy it and use it. You're all in this Windows Intune, interface. So we have what's really super cool is here is Windows Intune. We have something called Enrich. It's a browser plugin. So you see this little JJ Nook B11. That's a physical device in this case that Intune is managing. I'm in a browser, but there's this little button over here that said, you know what? It's a browser extension that says I know that machine, and if I click that, a little bit
Hmm.
of ControlUp starts to show up, and I can go I can go actions like those scripts. I can go do the shell. I can do the remote shadow, remote control. I can start looking at some information and scroll down. And if I click it and make it a little bit larger, now I can see a lot. Isn't that cool? I never
Hmm.
left Intune.
Nice. It still keeps that same, single pane of glass. You just add into it.
Totally. I can stop a
Awesome.
process is going on. I'll demo this a little bit later. This is pretty badass, I think. We also have control for compliance. Now, control for compliance is it's one of our, four or five main products. Is we are doing like real-time vulnerability assessment and patch management. So, well, the patch management. When I say real-time, we run scheduled jobs, but we can get like 0-day exploits, and if there's a fix, I can throw that exploit out there really fast, really fast. Whereas Intune, when it does patch management, it's not as fast. It's,
Hmm.
it kind of does things when it does things. So but Andy, keep me honest on this one. We have
Hmm.
a lot of customers who have integrated Intune for patch management with like their asset management software. So when they do a
Right.
patch, then it says, hey, asset management, I did a patch on this date and this time to this device, and it went good, right? So now we have a full asset management. So that those companies don't want someone else patching those devices if it doesn't talk to the asset management software, correct?
Right. Yep. Because it would just add another layer and more integration requirements.
Totally.
Yeah.
But what we're really great at is just, and who's the first person to potentially see if there's a new vulnerability out there? Is it a lot of times my support people find it before my security people?
Hmm.
So if my support people then could detect it and then send the remediation to Windows Intune to deploy, that's what we do.
Mm.
How cool is that? So
That's very cool.
support detects it.
Hmm.
Support then we say here's the patch, and then ControlUp creates the package for Intune and automatically sends it over there for deployment, and it gets deployed in about a half hour.
That's very quick compared to standalone.
I mean, because you'd have to kind of, so let's look at
Yeah.
that. So here is Intune. I go to Windows devices, and here's some devices out there. Let's go to this Nook device right there. Oh my gosh, look at it's just exactly what I just showed,
Hmm.
right? From here, I can say go actions, I could go, remote control, remote shadow. I could take a look at if I wanted to, I could stop a system. I don't want to kill that one. I can kill, that agent. I can kill whatever's running on that machine. I can take a look at, the network, the Wi-Fi signal, the, user input delays, all that really great stuff is kind of just right there at my fingertips without ever leaving in Intune, which is super rad. And all it did is this little browser plugin. It just was looking for a computer name that it knows about, and then it brings that up. That's pretty cool. But then the other piece I have is like, if I go to my Secure DX, we call it, or Control for Compliance, I go to my devices. I take a look at a device that's managed by Windows Intune. I can see it's Intune's there. And if I drill into that and I say that there's a patch and I have a patch that's available, and I say, let's remediate that, and I give it a job name, and I go to my integration, when I hit schedule, boom, it just goes off to Windows Intune.
Mm.
I mean, that's pretty crazy, I think. I mean, this product just by itself is pretty awesome. Like being able to take a look at risky users, devices, taking a look at device scores, issues with severities, getting a really good overview of my company, how we're doing on security issues over time. This is a lot of information that executives would really love to see. How is my severity score doing over time? How are my issues over time? Vulnerabilities, compliance, vulnerable OSs. This is a lot of data that the execs are not getting today. Pretty good stuff.
So, Jeff, what constitutes a risky user?
Yeah, risky user. So a risky user is someone who is using their credentials on websites that IT didn't know they could use, or they're using
Mm.
like uh, applications that are they're using risky websites with
Mm.
their corporate credentials.
Oh, gotcha.
Isn't that
Okay.
crazy?
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it's a really interesting way to pivot on that. Is it, because we
Hmm.
always think about the device being risky.
Right.
There's user behavior that's risky too that
Oh,
we're
yeah.
missing, right? So, all right, let's keep
Yeah,
going,
it's
eh?
not just the car, it's the driver.
Totally. Let's see. Let's minimize that. All right, Windows 11. I have some really great information that's just hot off the press on Windows 11. Windows 11 migration. Andy, I'm sure your practices
Mhm.
have helped a lot of customers, and you're helping a lot of customers go from Windows 10 to Windows 11.
Absolutely.
And as we approach this October, what is it, October 24th date?
October 24th, 25th. Yeah.
Something
Something like
like
that.
that. Um, you know, and then they have to start buying support. It's been getting a little escalated, right?
Hmm.
So check this out. Out of all of our ControlUp customers running a VDI and physical machines, around the end of May is when we saw more machines being Windows 11 than Windows 10. How crazy
Mm.
is that? But
That
it
was that
looks like we're
inflection point, huh? Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But
Mhm.
it looks like we're only about 60 something percent there. We're not even close to being so on the
Mhm.
good news, right?
Mhm.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that's a cool statistic because it's you always wonder like, well, how are things going? How are things going out there across the organization? So it's awesome that you guys have that data that you can pull from.
Exactly. And so everyone listening out there, you're like, hey, we're either behind the curve or we're above the curve. If you're
Hmm.
today, if you're over 60% Windows 11, you're above the curve. You're doing better than most, right?
Hmm.
So, and that's doing, oh, I don't know how many sample. That's a lot. That's a lot of data that we're pulling from there. Okay, what about VDI machines? So what's interesting is like 81% of the machines are still Windows 10 out there.
Huh. Yeah.
Well, 61%, but it says 81% of the 81% of the video machines are single session machines. Great. Of that, 81%, three quarters are Windows 10. But overall, it's like, yeah, 61% is Windows 10, 20% is Windows 11. So it's kind of interesting because it seems like, VDI, going to go to you as the expert, Andy. It's a little easy. Isn't it easier to flip someone over to a new image on a VDI machine or a Windows 365 machine right?
It should be. I mean, well, flipping them over. Of course, there's all
App compat.
the nuts and bolts underneath that. But to your point, yeah, different image versus sending and provisioning another physical machine. Yeah, that definitely simplifies it.
It looks like
Yeah.
it's the opposite, like from the graph we just showed, right?
Hmm.
60 over 60% is Windows 11 on these machines.
Hmm.
60% is Windows 10 on these machines. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. If we take a look at by company size, the darker the color, the more they've migrated to Windows 11. I don't want to spend too much on this, but
Hmm.
so company size, man, I would think that the bigger the company, the more mature they are in their practice to upgrading those machines to Windows 11. I would think, right?
True. And then there's the volume
And then
aspect
there's the
of it. So
volume, but so it makes kind of sense
yeah.
that if your org group size is like about 300, 200, 100, yeah, that's easy to migrate those. It seems like
Hmm.
there'd be a piece in the middle where it'd be like, oh, we don't have the staff to do this properly, and that's why they use XenTegra. And then it seems
Yeah.
like way down on the bigger ones that they would be further along than what they are.
Hmm.
Kind of interesting graph, yeah.
Yeah. No, that's that again, cool data.
And then, most of those enterprises are using, or most of those companies are using enterprise versions of Windows 10, Windows 11, which that kind of
Hmm.
makes sense too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's take a look at that. Windows 11 readiness. So let's go back to my my dashboard here, back to my control for desktops. This is pretty wicked. Right here on my overall dashboard, I have this thing on how am I doing on all my devices that are out there. You know, I have 115 in my demo environment that are Windows. I got 33 that are Linux, and I got some Macs out there, and I got some Chrome OS. Interesting, right?
Mhm.
I got 5 devices that are not Windows ready. So what this is doing is saying, okay, we've evaluated all the machines, and we have a bunch that are, ready to go, and some that are not. Some that are already gone. So total device 67. Migration percentage is 44%. Days left. We got 60 days left to October 14th.
Oh,
I
14.
thought it was the
Got the
24th,
countdown
14th.
timer. Countdown.
And,
Yeah, nice.
and it would cost me $305 a year to support those machines that have not been migrated at the point. So we kind of put those cost calculations in there. I think it's really
Mm.
important for executives to see that. These graphs down here, like not running Windows 11, I can go to require replace. Which machines require a replacement? They will never be ready to upgrade. I can't do the RAM. They're just not. They have to have a full-on new machine. Some
Hmm.
machines you can just, they have a TPM, but they haven't been enabled, right?
Hmm.
Right, for security. So then we can like drive down here and see, all, so this had a larger thing and say replace or update. And here's some reasons why: CPU and TPM, CPU, right? Secure boot, all that good stuff. So we know why those machines aren't ready to go.
Hmm.
Yeah, this has been really valuable for so many of our joint customers, right, Andy?
Yep,
So
absolutely.
So as we're evaluating, physical and virtual machines, I know I had a virtual machine in here somewhere. Like these are virtual. Yeah, here's a virtual machines. You know, which ones need to go and which ones aren't. Which ones are going to cost me for supportability, which ones not. And as always, not as always, but on most of our screens, Andy, you can say export to CVS. I can take this data and export that to a CVS file, which is pretty cool.
Hmm.
If I want to share this data for people who don't have access to this tool. Yeah. Any other questions, Andy, with that?
Nope, think we're good.
All right. Let's dive down into Windows 365.
Mhm.
Boy, Microsoft's putting a lot of investment into Windows 365, and they're having a lot of success with this offering too. Now, a lot of our customers are like, well, Jeff, Windows 365 is kind of like a VDI platform. It's a single PC.
Mhm.
They manage the VDI portion of that because we have a VDI offering at ControlUp, and then we have a desktop offering at ControlUp. We put Windows 365 in our desktop offering. We manage it through our desktop offering because it is that single instance. It is up to the company to, patch and manage and monitor that machine. And we don't really have that much control over the back-end infrastructure as we do on Azure Virtual Desktops,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
So that's why we threw this in here. So Windows 365 has a lot of great advantages, cost savings, sustainability, scalability, security, flexibility, simplified management. It's really easy, and it's good, and we love it. But there's some problems with it. Even a Microsoft person would tell you. On
Mhm.
the cloud PC side, you can still get slow logons, group policies getting into effect, scripts, just all the stuff's going on with that machine. We can have a slow operating system, whether it's a noisy neighbor or it's under provisioned machine. We can have slow applications. So if if I click it and then I wait so long for the application to open up, we monitor all that stuff. Audio and video problems at the endpoint. So right, just back up right there. That's just the cloud PC. That's one piece of the problem. But when I go to the endpoint, because something has to connect to that device, I have
Mhm.
connectivity issues. I have audio video issues, and I have slow. So my endpoint could be the problem, not the cloud PC. So when I call them for support, the support person doesn't know, is it the cloud PC problem or is the endpoint problem? We have the answer for that.
Mhm.
we have 3 different offerings. Let me explain this a little bit. And Andy, I know you know this, but if I don't explain it correctly, chime in.
All right.
Not correctly, but if I do it confusingly, okay?
Mm-hmm.
First of all, we can put a ControlUp agent, a ControlUp for desktop agent on the Windows 365 Cloud PC. And then it takes all that telemetry that we just saw earlier and sends it to the ControlUp agent or tenant in the cloud that you then see and can do things with. That's easy, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have a BYO offering. So let's say that I'm at home and I connect to my Windows 365 machine, but I don't want my company to have a ControlUp agent on my own personal machine, right? I don't want them seeing what websites I go to.
Yeah, I think it's reasonable.
Okay, right? Um, so what we have is we have a BYO offering, meaning it's a little extension that's installed on my home machine, very lightweight. It connects to the Windows app that then connects up to my Windows 365 machine. So that channel that I'm seeing that remote desktop from is a two-way channel. I can also take some performance data from the local machine, send it up through that channel to the agent that's on the Windows 365 machine, and take all that information and send that then over to the ControlUp tenant. So if I have a low Wi-Fi signal, if I have latency, if I have high CPU, if I have some of those things, I can grab that from the BYO device.
Without it being like fully managed.
Yeah, it's man,
Yeah.
it's lightweight. They
Yeah.
don't know what websites I go to. They don't know, they're not looking at my hard drive and seeing, all the data that's on there. It's very, very small.
Just getting the metrics that would affect the performance of that Windows 365
Yep.
PC
And
experience.
then I can marry those two views on top of each other to see if is the problem the client device or
Hmm.
is the problem the we'll show that.
Hmm.
Then the other one, if that device at home is a full-on ControlUp, managed device, then I could take the Windows 365 data and the home PC data and overlay them on top of each other. Pretty, you want to see it?
Yeah, I would love to see that.
All right. All right, let's go into details here. And we're going to go to my Windows 365 machines. All right, so here's a machine. It's the here's a Windows 365 machine out there in the cloud.
Hmm.
Here's a client device, my JJ Nook B11. Okay.
Okay.
And right here, I have this little house icon. Check this out.
Hmm.
I got my latency between my device and it's wired, and my router to my internet provider,
Mm.
from my device, my internet provider out to Google. Just
Hmm.
put that in there, and then all the way over to where that device is, where that cloud PC is located. So,
Mm.
boom, right there. That solves so many problems, especially if I'm on a wireless. Like if you're at 80% Wi-Fi signal strength, you lose like half of your throughput.
Hmm.
Just pause right there. Right? Why is my experience running crappy? You're at, 50% Wi-Fi signal strength. Just right there. All right, let's dive down into this a little more. So here, let's go back. Let's dive into this machine. Now, this is the performance of this cloud PC. And I
Hmm.
can do all of the things like it's a physical machine. I can run these actions, system scripts, user. I can go, remote control. I can send a message, remote shell. I can do, power events. I can do all this stuff, which is really kind of interesting. Power event, like I can reboot this machine, which is kind of cool because what if I can't get access to the machine because there's been a problem, but I can just send a command to reboot it as a support person without going into the
Mhm.
Intune interface.
Yeah, that's nice.
That's pretty cool. But if I go look at this little button here, we detected that this is a Windows 365 instance. So if I click that,
Mm.
whoa, look at this map I get. This is where I am, and this is where my cloud PC is.
Mm.
That's pretty cool. I got
Mhm.
client device information here, the client device, the endpoint device. This active session, I got UDP protocol going, right? My overall latency. And then I got some information on my cloud PC, the provisioning, what's the storage type, what region it is, what image am I using, what's the version, and my cloud PC data, right? So, my volumes, my processors, my IP addresses, all this good, great stuff right there for helping me troubleshoot and remediate. Then I start looking down at all my connectivity. So then I look at it, check this out. So
Mm.
I can say, is it my cloud PC or is it my client device that's having a problem? Is it my cloud PC or is it my client device that's
Well,
having a
that's
problem?
nice.
Isn't
Nice to have it
that
right there.
cool?
Yeah.
Right there. I don't know if anybody who's taking a look at this information, overlaying this information like that. I mean, this is huge. What's
Mhm.
kind of cool though is here I am at this cloud PC, but if I determine that it's the problem was with the physical machine, I can just jump over to that physical machine. Check that out.
Nice.
It's just crazy, isn't it?
Mhm.
I love it. I love
Mhm.
it. All right, what else do we got? Any questions with that?
No, we're good.
How about Azure? Um, Windows Virtual Desktop, AVD. You're not really allowed to put AVD in the title, but it's Azure Virtual Desktops, right?
Mhm.
Um, VDI has made challenges, right? It has some initial investment costs, software licensing, the solutions complex, all that good stuff. Here at ControlUp, we we have this broad VDI and DAS support. So the client to the thin client to the VDI and DAS backend. What we do is, since we have API calls to whether it's Horizon or Citrix or Azure Virtual Desktop, we can do some infrastructure monitoring, the back end side of that, which Cloud PC didn't give
Mhm.
us that. Troubleshooting, remediation, availability testing, alerting, all this good stuff. This is kind of what it looks like. Let's just jump into this demo. We like the demos, don't we?
Mhm.
Remember how we had our desktops? Now, if we go to my VDI, take a look at my VDI here, and I see for all of ControlUp, I can see all my VDI instances together, whether it's Horizon, Citrix, you know, uh, Azure Virtual Desktops. I go into details, start to see. Let's go into here's like all my machine details and how we're doing. I mean, I get so many, and I start drilling down exponentially to find. We have a thing called like follow the red. If I keep following the red, if I
Mhm.
keep clicking down into red, I can find the actual problem,
Mhm.
or
Mhm.
whether it's the back end or the front end on that machine. The data's still fetching on that one. Come on.
Follow the red graph road.
I like that. I'm going to use that. If I take a look down here to my Azure Virtual Desktops, right, I can start to see some AVD machines and some stuff that's going on with these machines. I think I want to head to disk queue, logical machines, memories. Where's my clients? Let's go to here's this. I think it's this machine I want. So I have this machine here, and I'm trying to take a look at where I have a demo person logged on. Maybe it's this one. Where's my logged on user? They log off. Because I can get some of those same statistics from that. Like remember when we saw the person working from home with that light agent, and I had the house and I had latency all the way from the endpoint all the way to the backend server. I can get the same view in my Azure Virtual Desktops. I just think my person, oh, here we go. Here we go. Here's someone's logged onto this machine here. Oh yeah. So I can take a look, I can get that same kind of view from my endpoint device with a very lightweight extension that's using the same channel to connect up to. I can get that same information on the connectivity between the endpoint and the actual VDI instance. So here's the Azure Virtual Desktop. I'm getting disk transfer, memory utilization. I'm getting a lot of great information around this machine that helps me troubleshoot. Is it the back end or the front end? And it looks like this machine that's being connected to this physical machine, connecting to this Azure Virtual Desktop, is also being recognized by my desktop.
Yeah.
How's that? How's that? Isn't that cool? So as you can see, like troubleshooting VDI can be really, pretty tough. It takes a higher level support person, in my view, to troubleshoot VDI, because that backend infrastructure can be so confusing, whether it's disk latency or under provisioned machines or noisy neighbors or what's going on with that machine, to be able to drill down and troubleshoot, to be able to follow the red to find the problem is really, and then fix it. And then fix that problem in many cases. Maybe want to provision more RAM or more CPU. Sweet, huh?
Very.
Well, let me then. Any questions before that, before I get off of the Windows 365 topic or the Azure Virtual Desktop topic?
I think we're good.
Okay. So we call this digital employee experience. Okay. We collect all these data points. We have all these integrations. And we have all these actions to fix those machines, whether it's VDI or DAS, whether it's physical endpoints, whether it's applications, whether it's endpoint security, or we're taking a look at employee sentiment. Oh, I didn't look at employee sentiment really quick. Let's go to the employee view. The employee view is really super rad. If we take a look at this employee experience and take a look at unified comm applications, experience over time, if we go look at details and come down here to details, and I want to take a look at people who are maybe having a fair experience on their machine. I can take a look at this over this month. Well, that's not a good one because they just logged on. Well, here's a fair experience. They weren't logged on throughout this time, but if I take a look over here, I have a fair user built-in script missing patches, failed to start. Okay, that's kind of cool. So it starts to give me some intelligence on what's going on with the machine. Like this one. We had let's see, we had a critical event count. We had a TechMark snow event. So this is probably, hopping on this machine. Yeah, they did a CPU load event was on that machine. So then I have a virtual expert that we can start to build out virtual experts, say, hey, I think you should, use this script to fix this alert. So that virtual expert starts building and building and building. We're using a lot of AI to start generating all this. Pretty darn cool, huh? I mean, I love this. This view is great. That view is great. That's my manager right there. So, sustainable hardware, refresh, improve operational agility with these dashboards, experience scoring. This is the stuff that your company in XenTegra with ControlUp helps our customer do proactive alerting, guided troubleshooting, improve that digital experience, get cost out of the equation with cost optimization and insights, improve the patch management process. So many, we have tons of customers. Over 5 million seats are managed by ControlUp. That's huge. We're not a small player. In XenTegra, a lot of your customers your current customers are falling into that 5 million seats right there. Check out this one. 10 million automated remediation executed weekly. just pause right there, right, Andy? Like, so out of those 10 million automations, those troubleshooting and remediation, let's say half of those would have generated a support call. Let's say 25% of those would have done a support, generate a support call. This support call avoidance
Yep.
right there.
Yeah, that's a ton of time. That represents a ton of time that's saved.
A ton of time saved on both ends, on the support person and on the loss of productivity
Mhm.
while you're working with the support person trying to find the problem. That's huge. And we do automated remediation for VDI and for desktops and applications and SaaS and just and unified communication. Like one of the biggest problems with unified communication is the Zoom or Teams
Yep.
cache gets too big and needs to be deleted. Well, we
Hmm.
have monitors that look at that folder and look at the cache size and says when it gets to a certain size, just get rid of that cache.
Hmm.
That's huge. It's huge. Anyway,
Yeah.
so well, I think we went through these. So that's kind of it. And when I left 9 minutes for Q&A, we think we've been handling some Q&A.
Yeah, actually, a couple questions that came in. One is for the, let's see, for the Intune extension, what are the requirements for that? And
Yeah.
you showed that in the beginning.
Yeah, the Intune extension. This thing right here.
Yeah, that's the one.
So the requirements is I go to I go to get an extension and I go look for ControlUp and I just download that thing and install it on my browser, whether it's Google or Edge or whatever,
Okay.
whatever, marketplace I want to go to. I install that up on my browser. Great.
Hmm.
When that's done, it looks like this. And then I have to have a log on into ControlUp.
Hmm.
So I have to,
Okay.
actually be, a person
And
who
then
have,
but it's like control it for desktops, right? If you have that, then that Intune component is included with that,
it just
or
starts, no, it starts working. Oh,
right.
check this out. As an IT person, we can say what URL we want the enrich extension to look at. So if I'm on like Dell.com, if I'm looking
Hmm.
at Dell warranty lookup, so let's say I use Dell a lot and I have Dell warranty. If I go to
Hmm.
that website and it has the device name that Control for Desktops has, that extension will appear.
Oh, nice. Okay. So it's
Yeah,
not
so I
just
can have like Slack. I
it's
can have
not
Slack.
just the Intune Admin Center. It's
It's
not
not
just
just
you can,
Intune.
yeah.
Yeah, it's any site that I want. I could have a local. I could have a corporate site. Intranet site. I can have you know it even works with ServiceNow. If
Mm.
primarily I work within ServiceNow as a support
Hmm.
person, and I open a case and I put in the computer name that this person's using, poof, this thing pops up right now and says,
Hmm.
"Oh, here, what do you want to do?" Isn't that cool?
That's very cool. Nice. Okay. But there
Yeah,
isn't any addition, like if you're subscribing to the Dex platform, it's not like another add-on license.
it
Just
just works.
it just works. Okay.
It just
Nice.
works. It's so
Nice.
cool.
That's awesome.
It's we showed this to Microsoft and they just they're like, wait, what? Like, how are you doing this?
Hmm.
Because it's not like a full integration. It's just a browser overlay, right? We're
Hmm.
like not screen scraping, but we're looking for a word
Right.
on that
Yeah.
on that page.
And then let's see, one other question that came in for user sentiment. You went through that a little bit.
Yeah,
Is there also, does it take feedback from the users? Just a clarification on that. Like
great.
can users,
Yeah, great. So here's some surveys that I ran. Let's go to this one. So yeah, we do get feedback from the surveys. The surveys could be multiple choice, they could be fill in the blank, they could be, you know, yes or no, just to kind of it depends on, I can do anonymous or non-anonymous surveys,
Mm.
which is a
Hmm.
double negative, right? Uh,
Yeah.
um, yeah, so we're collecting all this feedback from our end users, so they can be triggered off of a support ticket, or that we could be doing, monthly or quarterly or weekly. We could target them to um, uh, groups, or we could target
Hmm.
them to devices. So let's say you're doing a Windows 11 migration, and you could just say, hey, post the migration, did all your apps come over? Is all your data there? Are you having any problems? How
How's the
easy?
performance? How's it compare? Yeah.
Yeah, how's it compare? You need
Yeah.
any help, like, navigating
Hmm.
things, like, um yeah, it's pretty darn cool.
Nice.
And
Okay.
we can
Excellent.
customize it with people's your company's logo, which I think is really important, because people don't trust a pop-up that looks really
Hmm.
generic, because I don't either, because it looks like you've been hacked,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. I think that's it for questions, unless anybody wants to send anything else through, or if there's anything else you want to finish with, Jeff. But that was great. I always love seeing the control up interface many times. A lot of our team uses it. Our MSP team uses it to manage our our managed services clients. Our
yep.
professional services are using it with our clients all the time. But there's always something new, and
So I
yeah.
think the only thing I'm just gonna I'm going to add on, which I didn't say earlier.
Mhm.
We have full RBAC properties on here,
Mm.
right? So for instance, tier 3 VDI support, man, they're going to have all the tools. And those tools are very complicated, and they take a lot of
Hmm.
training, and then they can, with one click, they can destroy an entire
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
But with RBAC controls, right, we can start giving control up to tier 2 and tier 1, which gives them visibility, but yet not destructive power.
Mm.
So if tier 1 or tier 2 can start to solve problems and not escalate to tier 3, how big of a win is that for everybody?
Hmm.
Right?
Absolutely.
Right. So what we see out there, and Andy, probably what you see also, is empowering that tier 1 and tier 2 with control up, because it's easy to use, and they can fix things, and
Yeah, speed to resolution, and
speed to
not always having
resolution.
to just, like you said, escalate you know, to the top.
Speed to
So
resolution.
yeah.
Love it. And I know you guys, your team and your practices
Mhm.
are all locked in with control up, and you're helping a lot of customers go through the
Absolutely.
Windows migrations, go through the VDI migrations, go through Windows 365 and Azure Virtual Desktops, and making sure they're running all well. And you guys have been a great partner for us, and I really appreciate working
And
with you, Andy.
we love it too. Controls has been and continues to be an amazing partner
Yeah,
for
buddy.
us. So
Well, it looks
love
like
the love the
we're on
collaboration.
time.
I think, yeah, right on time. I think we're at the end. Thank you so much, Jeff. That was great. Always great to go through the product with you, chat with you. Hope everybody enjoyed the webinar. We'll actually have this posted on video. We'll follow up um, uh, you know, afterwards. So please let us know if there's any other questions, and you know how to find us. Have a great day. Thanks for joining.
Cheers.
Bye bye.